Okay, welcome to lesson 2. This is the second week of instruction that we give you. This will be a review of the first week, just a few of the highlights of week 1, and then we'll go on with some new exercises that Betty and Abby will show you. Abby is our young gal. She's not trained, so this should be a good example for you as to what to do with a dog that's not trained. First of all, Betty's going to review again the watch. If you would, Betty.
Okay, I have my treat with my pincer grasp from behind my back, down to her nose. Watch. Good watch when she makes the eye contact.
Perfect. Okay, and as you noticed, you saw that Betty was pointing the food down to the dog's head at all times. She comes across to the nose quickly, goes straight up above the dog's head, and then holds it there for a period of about 5 seconds, and then gets it down to the dog really quickly so that the dog doesn't snap at it as the food comes down to her. Great, thanks Betty. Okay, the next one is going to be the lure. And this is the one, it's kind of like an example of how to get the dog to learn 3 words or 3 exercises. You start off in the stand position, and as you're giving the dog the food, you repeat the word stand, good stand. Then you take the food down in between the front feet towards the back a little bit, pushing down on the back, saying down. Again, you hold the food in the position while you're repeating the word good down. Then the sit is up and slightly backwards, holding the food close to the dog's mouth throughout the time frame, and that way you get the dog to constantly focus on the food and move up following the food. Do it again for us, Betty.
Stand. Good stand. Down. Good down.
And in each position you hear Betty repeat down, or good, good sit.
Good sit. Stand. Good stand.
Great. Okay, now what we're going to have Betty do, Betty and Abby, is do the controlled walk. And this is going about the room, and basically what we're doing is having the dog watch the food, which she has now learned to do, as she's walking, and Betty will then stop occasionally, having the dog sit. So here we go.
Are you ready? Watch. Let's go. And sit. Good sit. Let's go. Good sit. Let's go. Sit. Sit. Let's go. Sit. Good sit. Let's go. Sit. Good sit.
Okay, real good. So just come back over to the center there, Betty. So as you see, at each position she was showing the dog the food as they were walking, always starting off on the left foot, which is your let's go foot. The foot closest to the dog is the one you always leave on and you always stop on. When Betty stopped, she pushed down on the butt, pulled up slightly on the leash, straight up above the dog's head, and when the dog finished the sit command, she repeated good sit and gave the dog a treat. Can you just do that one more time in position, Betty, for us?
You ready? Watch. Let's go. And sit.
Just like that. Thank you very much. Okay, now we're going to start with some new exercises right there. And the first exercise that we're going to basically do, and I'm going to come into the camera frame, is when you're going to be giving a stranger an opportunity to pet your dog and greet the dog. We're going to do it both in the sit position and in the stand position. And when a stranger comes to you, you're going to ask you to allow him to pet your dog. You're going to say, yes, please, by all means. Please just give her some food under her chin, not over top of her head, because we don't want the dog to be fearful. So we'll have it go like this. Hi, can I pet your dog?
Sure. Could you give her this treat, please?
Oh, sure.
On the base of, on the flat of your
Flat of my hand?
Underneath her chin.
Underneath her chin, sure. What a pretty dog. That's really nice.
Good sit.
So once again, I put the food on the flat of my hand, and that's what you ask the people to do. You put the food under the dog's chin so that your hand is under her mouth, and then as she's eating it, your hand goes to a little bit of a scratch. Can I pet your dog?
Yes, you may. Can you give her a treat?
Oh, sure.
Put it on the flat of your hand and put it under her chin, please.
Okay. Here, puppy. What a pretty puppy.
Good sit.
Thank you very much.
Good girl.
Okay, and that's how it's done. Okay, The next exercise is basically the same, only in a stand position. I'm not going to do it again, but Betty will show you what we want you to do. Just get the dog in a stand position, right beside your leg. You're kind of just holding her by her choker chain, and if need be, under her midsection closest to you in case she tries to sit. So you just keep your hand underneath her belly as the person comes and gives her the food. Actually, I will show you. I will come up and Betty can give the food again.
Sit.
Can I pet your dog?
Sure, I'd like her to stand though. Can you give it to her when she's standing?
Sure, when she's standing. Okay.
Stand.
Betty stands the dog up in position. Person comes along,
Stand.
gives the food,
Good stand.
little scratch, and then pats her along the body, and the dog stays in position. Good girl.
Good stand. Okay. Good girl.
Okay, the next exercise is going to be the sit-stay. Now in this case, the dog is placed in a sit at your side. You use sit, good sit.
Good sit.
You then give a flash of the hand in front of the dog's face as you say stay, keeping the leash tight above her head as you do so.
Stay.
You then pivot in front of the dog, directly in front, and keep the hands above the head, and keep her there for a period of about 15 seconds to start with. And keeping the leash tight, return to heel position, walk down the leash, and say good sit, good stay, and release her with the okay.
Okay. Let's go.
There you go.
Girl.
Okay, with Betty in position again, we're going to ask you that when you advance in this particular exercise, first of all, you advance after you've got about a minute close up, and then move away from the dog. So first of all, it's time, then distance. In this case, we'll have Betty move about 4 or 5 feet away, pretending that Abby already knows how to stay there for a minute.
Stay.
Now in this case, Betty extends her arm as far as she can. Now if the dog was to break, what Betty would do would be step right in as she said no, give a sit correction above the head, and then immediately
Stay.
give her a signal and step back. So once again, she would step into the dog, say no,
Sit.
give her the
Stay.
command again, and step back. Okay, pivot back beside your dog. This is the only time in a stationary exercise like the sit or the down that you ever use the word no. And you use the word no immediately upon seeing any kind of movement out of position. So do not wait for her to get fully out of position. Do it right away. Okay, you can release her, Betty.
Good girl. Yeah, that was good.
Okay, one of the biggest exercises that we are asked to teach folks is the come. Now the come in our training is done by getting about 3 or 4 exercises together. Now what we're going to have first of all is going to be what we call the charge. And this is just to get the dog excited about running. And Betty just gets Abby at her side and she says, want to get a treat? Want to get a treat? Then you run to the treat and she gets a treat. Okay, Betty?
Let's go. Good girl. Yeah. Good girl.
Okay. Okay, so that is the charge. One more time.
Ready? Ready? Let's go.
Just gets the charge and
Good girl.
gets the speed and gives her a treat. So everything is positive, very positive. The next part is what I call stealing first. It's basically the dog is left in the sit position, and in this case you say wait.
Wait.
With 2 fingers. You try and get ahead of her a little bit as if you're stealing base, and then you charge to the target again to get the food. Okay?
Let's go.
And you run.
Girl.
And in this exercise you can increase the distance as you get confidence with the dog. It's probably easy for her to do it when she's further away because you get to actually run with the dog. And quite often the dog will beat you to the target. So once again,
Wait.
stealing second.
Wait.
No. What Betty does is she tries and keeps the leash right above her head, goes out to the length of her arm away in front, and then runs.
Let's go.
Okay, she broke that a bit, but that's okay.
She knew.
And that's what will happen because she's anxious to go get the treat, and that's what we want. Okay, the third part of the recall is going to be the come for. Betty's moving very fast. I have to